All right, what I'm doing here is making a 3D mold of a rattlesnake. Here's the other bottom jaw, which goes on there like that, and it's a rattlesnake with its teeth hanging out. Well, obviously I can't do a sand cast with the bottom jaw and have the sand on the inside and be able to remove this the right way. So what I did is I sliced the outside line, and then I took off the fangs, which I can add, which I'll show you in this video. So basically, um, since this isn't level, I couldn't actually flip this over like this and pack the sand around it because it wouldn't sit level. So what I did was I filled this up, and as I filled it up, I packed it full of sand, got it nice and packed. I got the sand casting mix. I got a bag of it sitting here, but anyway, it it's fine and it clumps up and it packs really well. So I packed my mold full. Pardon me. And I had a pour where it came out the sides when I poured through the top. So with this cast, I've been pouring it up and down. So right now I've got it packed. I got the rattlesnake pressed in there to make sure that I have detail in there. And I get all the little nodules and everything on the snake. So it's packed in there nice and tight. I packed it around the side, and I actually packed it all the way around that very outside edge because that top of the rattlesnake head is curved. I can't pull it out of the sand unless it's right on the outside leading edges of the 3D printed mold. So you'll see that here shortly. But I'm going to take this mold, and it only goes on one way. Set it on here and begin to pack this up. With the baby powder in there, it keeps the two molds from sticking together. So I'll put a thin layer in there and make sure I got it evened out in there. Spread it out in there. You don't want to do it all at once. You kind of want to pack it in there a little at a time. I still ain't got quite enough in there. Sorry about that. I'm no professional at this. I just started doing this, so you'll have to bear with me. I wonder if I can set you guys up a little higher. Find a way to do that so you can see a little better. I guess that's going to have to do for now, but I'll pack it in here. I've got all kinds of different things I'm using for tools. They're not actual tools, but you know, get a level and scrape off the top. I also use it to pack down the edges and get the edges evened up, packed. You want to make sure it's all packed in there because when you separate these molds, they won't stick together unless you pack them really well. You go to pull it apart, and it won't pull apart. I'm reusing some of the clay from the last pour. I'll show you a piece, but it's black and has some powder on it. But I'll mix that up together with the others, and it should be fine. If you get too much of those imperfections, it's going to make a flaw in your pour. So I've been trying to use this fresh on the first layers, and then add some of this used stuff as I go and just break it up so it mixes in well. Still wasn't exactly stable. This handle of this mallet works pretty good for packing. getting in the corners. Then I kind of got it a little bit dished out here on the side, so I'll use this piece of wood. You know, it's a nice piece of wood, right? Babinga, African babinga. But it's nice and hard. It's not going to break using it for this. So. Nice solid piece. And this will be sure, like I said, to make sure your mold sticks together. I'll do a separate video when I do the pour. Should have recorded the pour earlier. I had a couple pours last night that didn't pour right. I don't know if it was because I didn't clean out the crucible of the slag enough, and the slag plugged a hole. The last pour went all right, but it had a little bit of a deformation in it. But he said he's going to MIG weld it, so he'll be able to use it. So that was good. But I won't get into what he's doing with that, but it'll be badass when it's done. So you'll have to keep your eye open for that, what he's using it for, what these snakes are going to be used for. It's pretty cool. And I don't want to give it away for him. He's all proud of it, so we'll just wait and see how it all transforms and see exactly what he comes up with. You're going to be impressed. But I'm glad he asked me to do it. This snakehead was actually the first sandcast that I've done, and I've been meaning to use this this mold to do some pendants or whatever, whatever you want to use it for, pommels and guards, and there's so many different uses you can use, make projects out of when you're sandcasted. I'm sure you can think of a bunch. Use your imagination. That's what he's doing, and it's going to be really cool. So I wouldn't mind making a cool necklace, I'm making a mess here. Clean up some of my mess as I go. My table is a disaster. I got pieces of clay all over here, but so I'm just going to pack this up. I'm almost ready to pull the mold apart, but I'm going to get this top layer on here and make sure it's level, and make sure this is all packed in here. Sorry about the bouncing around. I can't help it. This table is weak. It was a glass table until I was a smart aleck and swinging some nunchucks around, goofing around. And I was even swinging slow and I accidentally hit the table, shattered it. Well, I put a crack in it. The following morning, I got up, was ready to go to a meeting, and I got up and was making my coffee and accidentally knocked a lamp over on the table and finished it off. The whole thing, everything on the table just fell through. I just woke up. What a thing to wake up to, right? It was funny, yes, I admit. But there was a lot of cussing going on. It's not something you want to wake up to in the morning. So now it's a plywood top. So that's another project I got to do. So I'm going to turn the phone a little bit here. So I'm going to use this to skim across the top. Get this level. Like I said, I'm no professional, but it's working for what I'm using it for. And, if I can do it, I know you guys can do it. And look at how nice and smooth that is, nice and packed in there. So now I can pull the molds apart. This part, you got to be really careful. You pull it straight up. So it should pull right apart. I'm just going to gently apply pressure to pick up. And I knew the eyes, they're dished in, so I knew I was going to have that, but gotta gently do a repair here. And if you see in that mold, see that piece flaked off? There's a little bit of flaking here. I may have to do that again. I think I might do that again. Let me see if I can fix this. I got a little brush here. There we go. Not too worried about the eyes. They can be dremeled out. But I am worried about this outside leading edge. I don't know if I want to. This coat's getting in the way of my beard. But if you see right here, it's kind of screwed up a little bit. So I think, I don't know. That could be dremeled. I don't know if I'm going to fix that or not. Huh. That, pardon me, that could be fixed. Actually, I got a better idea. So, I already know that I have this right here. I'll show you a little better picture. But that's already pretty good. I'm going to clean out the eyes here, a little bit of that sand. Helps to have a little air compressor. But I'll show you this trick. I'm going to gently pick up on this snake. Hopefully this works. Oh, no, don't fall. Oh, crap. Alright, I'll show you here. There is the snake. So, I've got this antler, and the fangs are supposed to be here. Let's see if I can do this. See, I come up with this idea. So, gently. So there, I added the fangs. So, it'd be about like that. And then, I've got the mold already out. 3D printed mold, so I can take this, flip this back upside down, gently place it in here, tap it down so it presses that in there. And remember this little imperfection we have right here? We can pack some sand in there. Use the end of the spoon handle to pack it in there. Use my finger. Pack it in there. Put a little baby powder in there. Use your finger. Spread the baby powder around so it don't stick. Give it a few extra presses. Hopefully I can pull this apart without that coming apart again. You see it lifted up a little bit, but just gently push on the edge with my finger so it'll stay there. The tricky part. Ah. Now I might end up with a few extra edges that'll need cleaned up once this is done, but the main thing is carry this out to the garage very gently, not jar it around. I don't think you're ever going to get it quite perfect, but I'll show you. So there might be a little deformation right here, but you can touch that up with the Dremel. The eyes can be Dremeled out. So I might press that in there one more time. But that still looks pretty good. Well, it's a little thin right here, so I might press this in just a little bit. Well, I shouldn't screw with it. I think I'll just leave it alone, but I'll give you a little thickness right there. I mean, that's the inside, so I could shave it off the razor blade if I wanted. Show you what I'm talking about right here. It gets really thin. So that's why I was pushing down right here a little bit to try to get it to thicken up right there in that area. Yeah, I better just leave it alone. Should be thicker there now. But, you know, I see there's a little spot there where the eyes don't quite make a print there. I think I'm going to shove it in there one more time and press it in there. And just press in around here, get it tight. You're touching around the eyes where it looks a little soft right there. But I think we're good. This is something I haven't done, and it's kind of complicated, so there's a little bit where the gums are stretched. I'm going to push the spoon in there a little bit. Give it a little more pronounced around the gum line, which would be right here at the gum line. And just push it in there a little bit. You can define that area. Now the tricky part. So now we need a place to pour. And the way I did the last one is on this is where do you want a sprue to stick out? You don't want a sprue, which is where the brass pours in, to stick out right here, because then you're going to be messing up all your detail. Flip it over. You want a sprue here and here, and maybe a vent right up here where the fangs are. You can vent So when you pour the brass, it vents right out. So that's what I'm going to do, is I'm going to use a straw for the bigger holes where it's going to go in, and use a toothpick or a rod of some sort to stick through the fangs to make vent holes, so that when you pour in, the brass won't pull up around there and there won't be air pockets in there. So I'll just use a regular old straw, and what I'll do is I'll press them in right here where those are. I am recording, Heather, just so you know. Oops. Nice thing about using a straw is when I turn the straw and push down and get against the table here, I pull out a plug. You just squeeze the straw and get the plug to fall right out. I'll do the other side. There's plug. Just kind of roll the straw on your fingers. Take the other side, make sure I got it. Yep, I'm down to the table there. Pick it up. Still. There we go. So there we go. We got the place where we're going to pour the brass. And I just realized as I was doing that, I can't vent that out there. So I can't vent out where the fangs are. It'd make them hollow. Kitty, 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 kitty. That's the bottom part. Whoops. Here's the top. So I got to think of where I want that vent to come out. It's going to be upside down. I could run out right at the end of the nose here, right before the fangs. It's underneath there, so I don't think it'll be that noticeable. And it's a flat area there anyway, so I think that's where I'll run a vent. That cat almost snuck down there. I'm going to use the little toothpick. Well, Q-tip, I should say. Gently run a hole down there. And be careful not to. Don't drop it. So now we have our vent hole. I haven't poured this upside down like this. I call it upside down, but there's a lot of weight right here in that sand, and I hope that don't fall. So I better be extra careful. Actually, I Ah, something just fell. Okay. Just the top there. Make sure you blow out your mold. Gently line up your holes. Clean it off. Maybe touch this hole up right here. Get a little wider, make sure there's nothing going to fall down in there. And I just plugged it up, so alright, so I figured out these holes on the top are oblong, and I figured out a way to fix the holes. Use the end of a pen since it's tapered, and I can, as I put the pen in there, press the holes outward, and I'm not knocking sand in there. It's actually pressing against the side. So that's what I just did, is press against the side, cleans it up. Now this part is the trick, you know, a trick. I use a razor blade. What I want to do is I want to put an area for pouring. I want to cut an area for pouring. So I go to the very outside leading edge of that hole, and I'll cut a line. Do the same over here. Doing my best not to cut anything out, or knocking anything in, I mean. Once you cut that triangle in there, you should be able to take your razor blade or whatever you use and pop that up like a plug, and there you go. So now it's just a matter of cleaning up that hole. I'll use the pen again. Kind of taper where I'm going to pour. And clean that up. What could I clean that up with? I could use a flathead screwdriver, but I don't have one. What did I use? I forget what I was using. So use the spoon. Use what you got, you know. Improvise. So that hole isn't very big. I'm going to open it up a little more. I had a couple of fails last night, I got to admit to you. Sometimes it doesn't go, you know, you just got to be patient. Sometimes you get a pour that don't pour just right. You got to start over again. I mean, you've been here with me on the video. Ain't really, I mean, I did start the video when I already had the other side packed, but it wasn't that bad. Other guys, there's a guy I've been watching on YouTube that does a really nice job of explaining it. And he's new to it too, he said. He does a good explanation of it, so I'm just trying to help you guys if you're ever interested in it. It's not that hard. Like I said, this is the first project I ever did, so you'll have to watch the other video to see how it turns out, because that's what I'm going to pour. Main thing is, when you're pouring, not to stop. Just keep pouring. Don't hesitate, because if you hesitate, it'll solidify right and plug the hole. And also, the one thing you have to do is make sure that your crucible is clean and you got all the slag out of it. I think that's half my issue, is I had pieces in my crucible that plugged the hole. That's not a very big hole, so it doesn't take much. Maybe I should maybe find something a little larger for the hole, but I'll show you what I got. So that's my hole. There's a vent hole, there's a vent hole. So we'll go pour and we'll see how it goes.